I only went in for cold meds, but I walked out with a man who made my knees weaker than the flu ever could. He wasn't just attractive, he was dangerously magnetic with a voice so smooth it made the word ibuprofen sound sexy. And somehow, in the middle of my scratchy throat and red eyes, he saw me, really saw me, and everything changed. That night didn't end with a prescription. It ended with me pressed against his kitchen counter. I was 31. Not old, not young, just in that quiet stretch of life where your friends stop going out and your body starts sending you signals that something spicy at lunch means regret by dinner. I'd been nursing a brutal cold all weekend, the kind that leaves you feeling like you've been punched in the face by a pillow soaked in NyQuil. When Monday hit, I decided I needed something stronger. The pharmacy was clean, quiet, a little too bright, and smelled faintly of rubbing alcohol and printer ink. I shuffled in with my hoodie up, sunglasses on, looking like a hungover raccoon. I wasn't there to impress anyone, until I looked up at the counter and saw him. He looked mid-40s, maybe older, but in the best way. Silver at the temples, tanned skin, salt and pepper beard, and forearms that suggested he lifted more than just pill bottles. His white coat was crisp, but his sleeves were rolled up just enough to show veins and muscle, and his name tag said, Dr. Carson. But he looked more like a fantasy than a pharmacist. I paused, literally froze mid-step. He noticed. You all right? He asked, voice low, calm, deep. I nodded, but my voice cracked when I tried to answer. Just here for something cold-related, or maybe hot, depending who's asking. He smiled, slow, knowing, and for a second I swore he looked me over, head to toe, like he was cataloging me for later. Let me help you find something strong, he said. My brain short-circuited. We walked through the aisle together. He moved with quiet confidence, explaining the ingredients in a way that actually made me listen. I barely heard what he said because I was watching his mouth, the way his lips curled around words like pseudoephedrine and fast-acting. I nodded too much. He smiled too easily. There was an energy between us, unspoken but charged, like a static current waiting for someone to touch metal. When he handed me the bottle, our fingers brushed. He didn't pull away fast. Anything else hurting? He asked, and I swear there was something else in his tone. My pride, I answered. After how I look right now. He tilted his head. You don't look sick to me. It felt like flirting. It was flirting. I made it to the checkout still dizzy, but not from the fever. I could have walked out. But something stopped me. I turned back, cheeks hot. Hey, I said, you always this helpful? Only when someone makes it hard to stay professional, he replied. Silence, then boldness. Do you want to grab a coffee sometime? I asked, barely breathing. He didn't flinch. I get off at 8. There's a diner 2 blocks away. No pharmacy lights. Just me and whatever's in your voice when you look at me like that. I nodded, walked out, and came back that night. The diner was dim and smelled like fried sugar. He walked in still in his white coat, looking tired, but somehow even better under soft light. We talked about everything except medicine. I laughed for the first time in days. He touched my hand when I reached for my mug. By the time we got back to his place, the tension was unbearable. His apartment was modern, clean, masculine, steel gray furniture, dark wood floors, jazz humming softly from a speaker. And the moment the door closed behind me, he turned. I've been thinking about kissing you since you walked in sick, he said. You'll probably catch it, I whispered. Worth it. He kissed me like he meant it, like he needed it, like his mouth had been waiting all day to claim mine. I pressed against him, hands gripping the back of his neck, the world spinning in the best way possible. The way he held me was different. Older, firmer, more sure. His lips tasted like coffee and risk. His fingers trailed under my shirt, slowly testing how far I'd let him go. The answer was simple, all the way. And that night, he didn't just make me feel better. He made me feel. It started on his couch. The second kiss was hungrier than the first, less careful, more like something had snapped in both of us. His body was warm, solid, steady, like he knew exactly how to move. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this story. If it made you feel something, smile, or even think of someone, please leave a comment. The algorithm doesn't always love our kind of stories, but you can help keep them alive. It really means a lot. How to pull without rushing, how to guide without demanding. When his lips dropped to my neck, I exhaled something I didn't realize I'd been holding in since I first saw him at the counter. I wasn't used to this, not like this. There was something about being wanted by someone older, someone who didn't just react but read you. Your breath, your pauses, the places where your body leaned in instead of pulling away. Carson didn't ask for permission out loud. He asked with touch, with rhythm, with the space he gave me to answer and how I moved back toward him. My hoodie came off. His shirt followed. Skin met skin. And when his fingers brushed the waistband of my jeans, he paused. You okay? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. I want this, I said. He smiled against my throat. Good, because I'm not stopping unless you ask me to. He kissed his way down my chest, slow, methodical, like he was studying for an exam. Every breath he took against my skin made me feel wanted in a way that went beyond lust. It felt like admiration, like care, like he wasn't just there to take, but to give. When he undressed me completely, he took his time. No rush, no greed, just heat, just hands, just a mouth that knew exactly how to pull sounds from mine I didn't know I was capable of making. He led me to the bedroom, large, clean, minimal. He lit a lamp, not bright but not dim enough to hide behind. And when we fell into bed, it wasn't just about sex. It was about connection. It was about being seen naked in every way. We kissed again, deep, slow, with that subtle grind of hips that says soon but not yet. I traced the lines of his chest, his arms, the fine silver at his temples that somehow made him even more beautiful. His eyes never left mine, not even when our bodies started to move in sync. He reached for protection. He made sure I was comfortable. He asked me in between gasps and groans, "Tell me what you need." And I told him, not with words, but with the way I arched into him, the way I gripped the sheets, the way I whispered his name like it meant something more than it should have on the first night. He moved with purpose, with control, with something deeper than just desire. And when it finally happened, when everything blurred into heat and breath and trembling limbs, it was so much more than physical. It was emotional. It was safe. It was fire without the burn. We collapsed together, sweaty and breathless, tangled in his sheets like some beautiful mess of skin and heartbeat. For a long time, we said nothing, and then he kissed my forehead. "You're something else," he said, smiling. "You say that to all the flu cases?" He chuckled, pulling me against his chest. "Only the ones who make me forget what time it is." We didn't sleep right away. We lay in the dark, fingers tracing outlines on each other's bodies. His hand rested low on my back. Mine stayed over his heart. It beat slow, steady, like the calm after a storm. "I wasn't expecting this," I said quietly. He didn't move. Neither was I. "I thought this was just a flirtation." "It still can be," he said, "unless you want more." I turned to face him. "Do you?" His hand cupped my cheek. "Yeah, I do." That night, in his bed, I didn't feel sick anymore. I felt wanted. I felt chosen. The next morning hit different. Not in a bad way, just in that, wait, did that really happen? Kind of way. I woke up before him, sunlight peeking through his curtains, cutting across the sheets in a soft, golden line. Carson was still asleep, one arm stretched over me, chest rising and falling against my back like a lullaby I hadn't realized I needed. I didn't want to move, didn't want to ruin it, but I also didn't know what came next. This wasn't a hookup that ended with an awkward goodbye and a lift home. This wasn't a line crossed at a party. This was a grown man, a pharmacist, a stranger turned something, whose bed I was suddenly lying in without a clue what we were to each other now. I slipped out of bed quietly, grabbed my phone from the side table, and padded to the kitchen in my boxers. He had real coffee. Not instant, not pods. Like actual beans in a grinder and a kettle that looked expensive. I tried not to feel impressed, but I absolutely was. I made 2 mugs, one black, one with oat milk, just in case. When I turned around, he was standing in the doorway, shirtless, hair tousled, watching me. "Morning," he said, voice rough from sleep. "You don't snore," I said, handing him a mug. He grinned, sipping. "You do. A little." I groaned. "Already exposing me?" "I like it," he said, walking closer. "Means you were really asleep. Comfortable?" His arm wrapped around my waist. We kissed again. Soft, easy, like it was normal for us. Like we'd done this before. Like maybe we would again, but my brain wouldn't shut up. "Can I ask something?" I said, leaning back to look him in the eyes. "Of course. What is this? Like, do you do this often?" He looked at me for a beat, then shook his head. "I've brought people home before," he admitted. "But this, last night, that wasn't typical." I nodded, biting my lip. "It didn't feel typical. And I don't want it to be the last time," he added quickly, his hand squeezing my side. "Unless that's what you want." I looked up at him, really looked. The lines around his eyes, the way he kept watching me like I might vanish, the vulnerability hiding under all that calm. "I don't want it to be the last time," I said. "But I'm not gonna lie, this all feels fast." He stepped back, gave me space. "We don't have to define anything yet. We can just see." I nodded, but the voice in my head kept whispering, "What if you want more?" And he doesn't. Over the next week, we texted. Not constantly, but often enough that I never went to sleep without hearing from him. He sent pictures of his boring lunch breaks. I sent memes about my messy apartment. And every time his name popped up on my screen, something in my chest tightened in that dangerous, delicious way. On Friday, he called. Not texted. Called. "You free tonight?" he asked. "For you? Probably even if I wasn't." That made him laugh. "I want to see you again." We met at his place. No diner this time, no small talk, just us. Straight to the couch. Straight to that same heat that never seemed to cool off. This time, it was even more intense. Clothes off faster. Kisses deeper. His hands more sure, his body more desperate to feel, to give. It wasn't just sex, it was affirmation. It was, "I missed this," said through every touch. We lay tangled afterward, bodies hot and tired. "I don't usually let people in this fast," I said quietly, head resting on his chest. "Me neither," he replied. I looked up. "But you're okay with this?" "I don't know what this is yet," he said honestly, "but I like how it feels, and that's enough for me right now." I kissed him once, slow, deep, honest, but in the back of my mind something started whispering. What happens when it stops feeling good? What happens when it gets hard? Because no matter how warm his hands were, I'd been burned before, and I wasn't sure how many times I could risk getting close before I stopped letting anyone in at all. It had been 3 weeks of slow texts, fast kisses, deep touches, and even deeper silence between those moments. Not bad silence, just space. The kind that made me wonder if I was the only one thinking about where this was going while trying not to ask too soon. We weren't official, we weren't casual. We were floating in that strange middle where everything felt like it mattered, but no one had said it out loud yet. Carson invited me over for dinner, not takeout, actual dinner. He cooked, roasted chicken, vegetables cut like someone cared about presentation, wine already uncorked. The man was either serious or criminally charming. "You're full of surprises," I said, leaning against his counter while he plated everything like it was an audition for a food show. He chuckled. "You say that like it's a warning." "More like a side effect," I replied. "Unexpected attraction, prolonged eye contact, symptoms may include falling way too fast." He raised a brow. "Is that happening?" I froze. The question was too light to be casual, too real to be ignored. "I don't know," I said. "I think I'm trying not to." He set the plate down, walked over, took my hands in his, then stopped trying. That sentence hit like a warm wave. It didn't ask, it offered. Dinner was perfect. Not because of the food, though it was great, but because of the way he listened. He asked about my job, my childhood, the weird way I eat cereal with a fork. He remembered things, details, things I hadn't realized I told him. Afterward, we didn't rush to the bedroom. We sat on the couch, legs tangled, wine glasses empty, music playing low. He reached for my face, thumb brushing my jaw. "Can I ask you something kind of serious?" "Always." "Do you think I'm too old for you?" I blinked. "Is that what you think?" "Sometimes. I see how people look when we're out. I know what it could look like. To them, maybe. But to me?" I leaned in. "You don't feel older. You feel steadier, calmer. Like you know how to be in your own skin. I like that." His eyes softened, and I knew he needed to hear that. Not because he doubted himself, but because when you've lived long enough, you've probably had people reduce you to numbers, not feelings. He kissed me then. A kiss full of quiet thanks. No urgency, just gratitude. And when he pulled back, there was something in his expression, something closer to fear than lust. "I like you," he said, voice quiet. "More than I meant to." I didn't reply with words. I kissed him back, harder. And then I took his hand, stood, and led him to the bedroom. This time, it was different. Not slower, but more connected. Every piece of clothing that hit the floor felt like shedding something unspoken. His hands found mine. Our foreheads stayed pressed together. His breath hitched when I whispered his name during prep. He kept eye contact when he moved inside me, gentle, deep, like it meant more now, and it did. Every sound, every moan, every whispered yes and sharp inhale meant we weren't pretending this was nothing. It was something. When we were done, tangled and flushed and still catching our breath, he whispered, "I want this to last." I ran my fingers over his chest, kissed his shoulder. "Then let's make it." But even as I said it, I felt the tremble under his skin. He wanted this. But he was scared, and so was I. The next few days felt different. We didn't talk about the talk, but we also didn't ignore it. We still texted, still flirted, still sent little things like thinking about your hands or that wine's still in my system. But now there was weight behind it. Not pressure exactly, just gravity. On Thursday night, he canceled. Said he had to work late, said there was an audit, said he was slammed. I believed him. But something about the message felt distant, shorter than usual. No emojis, no flirty follow-up. Just, "Can we take a rain check?" I didn't reply right away. I didn't want to overthink it, but I did. Every word, every tone shift, every hour that passed without hearing from him. By Friday, I broke first. Me. "You okay?" "Carson. Yeah, just tired, long week. Nothing else." I waited. Nothing. Saturday came. I didn't text. He didn't either. And by Saturday night, the doubt started clawing at me. Was it too much? Too fast? Did I misread it all? Was that night the high point, and everything after the slow fade? I almost convinced myself to let it go, to move on before it hurt, to delete the thread, clear the scent of his cologne from my hoodie, erase the way he touched me like I mattered. But Sunday morning, my phone buzzed. "Carson, I'm sorry." 2 words, loaded. Then another. Carson, can I come over? My stomach flipped. I sent back, doors unlocked. He showed up an hour later looking like he hadn't slept. His white coat was gone. Just jeans, a hoodie, a face full of apology. I opened the door, arms crossed, trying not to fold too easily. He stood there for a second, just looking at me. Then, I got scared. I let him in. We sat on the couch, the same one where we'd kissed, laughed, fallen into each other like it was fate. Now it felt like something fragile might crack between us if we moved wrong. I haven't felt this in a long time, he said, voice quiet. Not just the sex. You, United States. I thought I was done with this kind of vulnerability. You think I haven't been scared too? I asked. I wake up and check my phone like a teenager, hoping your name's there. He looked down, then back up. It's not you, it's just when things feel good, I start bracing for when they break. I exhaled. Then let's not break it. I don't want to, he said, but I need to know you're not just here for the thrill. I leaned in. The thrill wore off weeks ago. I kissed him gently, slow, soft, no tongue, no fire, just real. He sighed into it, let himself be held, and for the first time, I felt him relax, like he believed me. We didn't have sex that night. Instead, we laid in bed, bodies close but untouched. His fingers brushed mine. My head rested on his chest. We didn't speak much. It was intimacy without heat, safety without urgency, and somehow that was hotter than anything we'd done before. Because now it wasn't just about desire, it was about staying, even when it got hard. After that night, something shifted. Not a dramatic fireworks shift, just a quiet one. Like when a song changes key and you don't notice until you feel it in your chest. We didn't label anything. Still no boyfriend, no status updates, but I started keeping a toothbrush at his place. He kept my favorite tea in his cabinet. I learned how he took his eggs. He learned that I can't sleep with the TV on. It was the kind of intimacy that sneaks up on you. Domestic, warm, terrifying. And then something happened that brought everything into sharp, unwanted focus. We were at the pharmacy. It wasn't planned. I'd stopped by to pick up something basic, vitamins, toothpaste. Carson was working. I didn't expect a full reunion, just a smile through the glass, maybe a wink. But when I walked up to the counter, he was mid-conversation with a customer. A man, early 40s, clean cut, wearing a polo that screamed divorced and still controlling the HOA. They were laughing, not polite chuckles, familiar laughing, inside joke laughing. I stepped into the line behind them, pretending to browse the gum rack while my stomach nodded. Tell your sister I said hi, the guy said, picking up his prescription. I will, Carson replied, voice casual. Thanks, Drew. Drew, I don't know why that name punched me in the gut. Maybe because it sounded real. Maybe because he knew his sister. Maybe because it sounded like history. Carson saw me then. His smile flickered, like he wasn't sure if he should smile wider or pull back. I gave a half wave. Hey, he said. Didn't know you were stopping by. Didn't know I needed permission, I joked, trying to keep it light. He blinked. I didn't mean it like that. The energy was off, tense, like we were suddenly acting for the benefit of the pharmacy security camera. I paid, didn't linger, didn't ask who Drew was, but the silence in my chest screamed it. Later that night, he texted, Carson, that was awkward. Want to talk? Me, do you want to? Carson, yes. He came over. No dinner, no wine, just him standing in my doorway with that same expression from the night we first met. Something restrained, unsure, tired. He's my ex, he said. I stood still. He dated my sister's best friend before he dated me. We were a thing for a while. Messy. Ended over a year ago. I exhaled. Okay? Carson walked in, dropped onto the couch. I didn't tell you because I didn't think it mattered, but seeing your face today, I realized maybe it does. I sat beside him, close but not touching. I didn't want it to matter, but it did. I get it, he said. It caught me off guard. I didn't want you to think I was hiding something. I didn't, I said. But I guess I realized today how scared I am of not knowing, of being just another guy who passes through. He looked at me. You're not. It came out fast, certain, real. You're not something I'm passing through. You're someone I'm slowing down for. That hit me in the chest. Made me want to cry and kiss him at the same time. So I did both. We kissed. Deep, slow, longer than usual. And when we broke apart, foreheads pressed together, he whispered, I want this to work, even if it's messy. So do I said. Even if it scares the hell out of me. That night, we didn't sleep much. We didn't rush, but we didn't hold back either. We undressed slowly, reconnected through every kiss, every touch. No role-playing, no teasing, just quiet passion. The kind that comes from being chosen even when you're complicated. When he was inside me, he didn't look away once. And when I came undone around him, I felt wanted. Not for what I looked like, not for how I made him feel, but because he saw me, all of me, and he stayed. 3 nights later, I found myself doing something I hadn't done in years. I was folding laundry at his place. not in a romantic, candlelit kind of way. Just me, sitting cross-legged on his bedroom floor, matching socks while Carson cleaned the kitchen. We weren't touching, we weren't kissing, but somehow the silence between us felt more intimate than any bed we'd shared. "You don't have to do that," he called out from the hallway. "I like doing it," I replied. "Helps me feel like I live here." The second those words left my mouth, the air changed. Not in a bad way, but it was a moment, a weighted moment. I looked up. He was standing in the doorway, drying his hands with a towel, watching me with that unreadable face of his, the one that always looked calm, even when he was thinking too hard. "You feel like you live here?" he asked, voice careful. "I didn't mean that literally," I said quickly. When I'm here, I don't feel like I'm visiting. I feel like I belong." He sat down beside me, didn't speak right away. Then, after a pause, "What if I wanted you to?" I looked at him, heart thudding. "What do you mean?" "To belong here, with me, not just for a night, for longer." I couldn't breathe. He continued slowly. "I haven't lived with anyone since I was 36. That was a disaster. But with you, I keep finding your stuff on my counter, and it doesn't bother me. I open the fridge and your drinks are there, and I smile instead of rearranging everything. I don't just want you here, I miss you when you're not." I stared at him, jaw tight, every defense I'd built over the years begging to stay intact. "You're asking me to move in?" I asked, voice thinner than I meant it to be. "I'm asking if that's something you'd even want," he replied. "Eventually. Maybe. I don't need an answer. I just needed to say it." I looked down at the laundry, then back up at him, and I saw it, the fear. Not the fear of me, but the fear of hope. He dared to want something again, and so had I. "I'm scared," I said honestly. "Because what if it's too much too soon? What if I lose you and the routine and the bed and the laundry all in one blow?" Carson reached for my hand, held it like it was the most fragile thing he owned. "Then we take it slow. You don't have to move in, but maybe you don't have to leave the second you wake up either." That night, I didn't leave. And the night after that, I came back with my laptop. And the one after that, I brought a drawer organizer. It wasn't moving in, but it was something. 1 week later, we had our first real fight. It wasn't big, it wasn't loud. It was about dishes, and timing, and space. But underneath it was fear, pressure. Two people learning how to let someone close without pushing them away. "You're pulling back," I said after he got quiet for the third time. "I just need space," he replied. "I'm used to being alone." "You're not alone anymore," I said, softer than I meant to. He looked at me with a storm behind his eyes. "I know, and that's what terrifies me." We didn't touch that night. We slept back to back. But in the morning, his arm found its way around me again. "I'm still here," he whispered. And that meant more than any apology. Because love isn't just kisses and warmth and perfect Sundays. It's staying, even when you want to run. We never said "I love you" in the middle of passion. We didn't scream it during sex or whisper it in the dark just to fill silence. When it finally happened, it came on a Tuesday. Rain outside, the kind of gray that slows time. We were sitting at the kitchen table. Carson was reading some boring policy update for work, glasses on the bridge of his nose, brow furrowed in that way that made me want to kiss him until he forgot what he was doing. I was just watching him, quiet, calm, coffee mug between my hands, and I said it. "I love you," just like that. No build-up, no joke to soften it, just truth. He looked up, slow, like the words hadn't registered right away. Then he blinked, closed his laptop and stood. He came around the table, pulled the chair beside me, and sat so close our knees touched. "I was scared you'd say that before I was ready," he said. I swallowed. "Are you ready now?" He cupped my face with both hands. "I've been ready since the first time you kissed me in my kitchen. I just didn't know it." Then he kissed me. Not with urgency, but with depth, with certainty. And he said it back. "I love you." We didn't celebrate with champagne or grand gestures. We celebrated the way we always did. Quietly, fully, together. That night, we made love like it was the first time and the last time all at once. Every touch meant something. Every kiss was slower. Every moment lingered just a few seconds longer than usual. When he was inside me, he moved gently, but with purpose. Our hands stayed locked. Our foreheads touched. And I said his name more times than I ever had. Each one a vow, a thank you, a promise. Afterward, he wrapped me in his arms. We stayed like that until the world stopped spinning. "You changed everything," he said against my neck. "No," I replied, brushing my fingers through his hair. "You just gave me something stronger than cold medicine." He laughed, soft and sleepy. "What's that?" "Hope." A month later, I moved in. For real this time. Not just drawers and hoodies and toothbrushes, but boxes, books, things I never thought I'd share again. The space adjusted. We adjusted. There were still little fights, still long days, still moments where we stepped on each other's shadows. But there was also breakfast in shared silence, late-night grocery runs for stupid cravings, sex that wasn't just about release, but about reminding each other why we were still there. And every time I felt that flicker of doubt, that old fear whispering this can't last, Carson would find me, wherever I was, and pull me in close. I'm still here, he'd whisper, and I'd hold him tighter. Because love, real love, isn't about the perfect timing or smooth beginnings. It's about choosing the same person again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, especially then.